Good evening, sound check, testing audio 1, 2. Good evening.
Test, yeah.
Okay, ready? Okay. Good evening, everybody. Just a reminder to the audience that's here present, if you'd like to address the board this evening, there's some yellow forms at the back and the entrance. Go ahead and fill it out, and you can go ahead and give it to our administrative assistant, Ms. Delgado. And with that being said, I now call to order this Gadsden Independent School District School Board for Thursday, January 11th at 5:02 p.m. Ms. Delgado, can you please take roll call?
Mr. Castillo,
Present.
Ms. Flores,
Present.
Mr. Lira,
Present.
Ms. Murillo,
I believe Ms. Murillo is present online. Is she there, Mr. Carmona?
Bring up 15. Ms. Murillo, can you say good evening for us? Say hello on device 2. Let me test the audio there. Yep, audio's coming in. She might be experiencing some audio difficulties. I do see her on the meeting. Ms. Murillo, can you say something? Say hello.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
We do hear you. In order for you to hear what's going on in the meeting, you'll have to join the first link that I emailed you using a second device. So we can hear you on whatever device you just spoke into.
Okay, so I'm on my phone. Do I need to log out of here and then go to the other one?
No, ma'am. So the phone will be your microphone, and you'll need a computer with headphones to listen into the meeting. Otherwise, you won't be able to hear what we're saying.
We're good to go, Mr. Goodman? Okay. Good evening, Ms. Murillo. I think we've established quorum. Actually, no. Sorry, go ahead.
Ms. Rodriguez?
Present.
Madam President, we have established quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Delgado. Okay, moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, if you could please stand. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, as the symbol of perfect friendship among united brothers. Okay, and Mr. Lita, go ahead and read our mission statement. Thank you.
The Gadsden Independent School District will provide diversity educational opportunities that empower students to be successful in an ever-changing world. El Distrito Escolar Independiente de Gadsden brindará diversas oportunidades educativas que capacitarán a los estudiantes para tener éxito en un mundo cambiante.
Thank you. Moving on to our next item on the agenda, Superintendent Dempsey's district updates and recognition. Superintendent Dempsey.
Madam President, board members, thank you for joining us this evening. Our first item is our swearing in of our new board members and our re-elected. So Mr. Castillo, Mr. Lita, and Ms. Rodriguez. And you probably have already done this a couple times. This will be our local one. We have a representative from Sunland Park, Mr. Caranco, is going to help us with this. So if each of you will please stand and raise your right hand. I can do pictures.
You're going to repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the laws of the state of New Mexico, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of Gadsden Independent School District Board Member on which I am about to enter to the best of my ability. So help me God. Ladies and gentlemen, as City Clerk for the City of Sunland Park, you are now sworn in.
Okay, while we're getting those specific items signed, we also want to pause for a second and thank our board. January is Board Appreciation Month, and for everyone that's listening and here with us, it's a difficult job. You run to try to support, our students. You get to hear all the complaints. Once in a while, I get to hear something positive, hopefully. We're doing that a little bit more, hopefully. But without a good board, an effective board, the work we do for students is not possible. It's unfocused and misdirected unless our board allows us to be focused and directed. So thank you for your work. There's a gift for each one of you. and then a thank you card with a couple items in there. And again, we want to thank you. We really appreciate you. Okay, our next item, the Gadsden ISD, and I'm going to call it once, Ms. Villalobos, the mini conference, and it was titled Empowering Excellence, Cultivating a Culture of Continuous Growth. What I really want you to understand, there was nothing mini about this conference. It was just fabulous. The academic services team worked with federal programs to deliver this. No problem, we're good. And I just want you to understand the quality of professional development that our instructional staff received was simply phenomenal. A few of you had the opportunity last year to go to in San Antonio to attend the High Reliability Schools Conference in San Antonio. And I believe at the time there were seven or eight speakers at that particular conference. At Gadsden High School, we had 11 of those quality speakers. And the feedback we received was just fabulous. So if you talk to our teachers, it was instructional staff. We worked it out over a 2-day period where we had AM were elementary schools. They would receive a keynote and then have breakout sessions, and then PM was secondary. So it was just fabulous to have all of those in one room in the cafeteria, right, to be able to talk to them and watch them interact, and then go to breakout sessions with them and watch them learn and grow. So I can't say enough about the planning. Ms. Lugo was an enormous factor in this. And without her work, we couldn't have pulled this off. And Ms. Villalobos found a way to fund it. And then, Ms. Hernandez and the rest of her team just stepped in. So I just want you to know it's the best professional development I've ever witnessed in my really entire career. So want you to be aware of that, okay? All right. And then, Ms. Villalobos, will you help me with this next one? Our Calvary West supporting 100 families in need.
Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dempsey. For this presentation, we have our lead social worker, Ms. Debbie Olguin. What she's going to provide for us is a little kind of summary of how many blessings we have been having on the last couple of months for our families. We received so many. We have been able to build a lot of collaborations with a lot of community organizations. So our families receive so many things from turkeys to clothes to toys to jackets to, it's really amazing. We receive a lot of blessings, and Ms. Debbie just wants to share all the organizations that we, Gadsden, want to thank and say all our gratitude for our community and all our gratitude for the organizations to helping us on this effort. So is Debbie there? Are you there, Ms. Olguin?
Yes. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dempsey, good evening. On behalf of Federal Program Social Work Department, we would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to formally recognize and acknowledge the following individuals and community businesses for their continuous support during the holiday season. At this time, we would like to acknowledge the following community partners, not in any specific order, so Coats for Kids, LDCM, La Gente Motorcycle Club, Toy Truck Club, Protex Diesel, Landmark Construction, Anthony Police Department, Jeffrey Coase and Julio Barba, City of Anthony, Toys for Tots, Quincy Leaks, St. Jude, Otero County Processing Center, Otero County Prison, Chaparral Middle School Student Council, Dress a Child Program, Chaparral High School Criminal Justice Class, Abundant Living Faith Center, Anthony Rotary Club, KTSM, Casa de Peregrinos, the Rodriguez family, the Valtierra family, La Vaquita Iglesia Pentecostal de Hatch, and a few others who wish to remain anonymous. Community partners, Thank you for your generous donation of clothing, shoes, food boxes, Christmas gifts, toys and blankets, jackets, and heaters. Your constant support has made a profound impact in the lives of our students and their families. And on a personal note, I would also like to thank the social work team for the countless hours they have committed to in making these events successful. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Devi, and thank you so much all our social workers because they work so hard to put all this together, and they work in on Saturdays, on Sundays, after hours. It's like their dedication is amazing. Thank you.
Yay, social work, that's good. Okay, our next item, our student representative, Elias Aguilar, is a 12th grader at Chaparral High School. Because of our weather-related events, she was able to video her message to us, and so here we go.
I'm Elias Aguilar, the senior representative of Chaparral High School, and I'm happy to be presenting about our student life on campus. Our senior sponsor hosted a winter celebration this past semester to celebrate our last holiday season together. Seniors watched Polar Express and played reindeer games, which were board games and the like. Our girls wrestling team took home 3rd place, while our girls basketball team took home 4th place in our Eastwood tournament. Track season has also started, with softball and baseball tryouts starting next week. Underclassmen are preparing to create their schedule for next year, while seniors are gearing up to complete their next step plans for after high school, which we were handed today by our counselors. SAT is coming up in April for juniors and seniors retaking it. I wanted to mention that the attendance was great this first day coming back from break, since students were excited to come back despite the really harsh weather conditions. And student council and NHS members volunteered their time for the community at the CHS Food Bank distribution, which was this past Tuesday. Lastly, I did want to bring up a concern with this being one of my last opportunities before graduation, which was the cause for students' behavior being affected by our sense of purpose. I would like to suggest resources and additional support for us to be able to find the purpose ourselves, such as expanding on student-populated areas to accommodate everyone, as well as implementing mandatory college preparedness and life skills programs. These would give us the opportunity to learn the importance of budgeting, for example, or interview skills that would help us achieve our desired careers. Having speakers come in during advisory or other designated times such as this would be the first step in providing this help, while eventually being able to have instructors at each campus that would help teach us these life skills and serve as a resource for those seeking that help. Additionally, teachers would also benefit from not being tasked with explaining these topics that they were not taught to properly explain. In many cases, from accounts I've heard myself, teachers feel that their efforts go unheard by students, which can affect the overall drive of our school to obtain that higher level of education. Speaking from the student perspective, although I cannot give a suggestion to how to inspire teachers, I do feel that it is important to share that students would benefit more from teachers who value the quality of our education, as it helps provide us with that motivation to learn. It is important to recognize the efforts of teachers who already go above and beyond for us, but also to consider that the majority of our teachers settle with contributing just enough, which greatly impacts each student's motivation to essentially teach ourselves. In programs or classes like the ones that I suggest, it'd be great to be provided with the means of achieving certificates or licenses for students seeking to gain life skills and experience, much like what we can see in each of our CTE classes right now. For example, my CTE class, Criminal Justice, also includes a course for us to gain first aid and CPR training certifications, which I'd be able to take into a job field as another competency skill that I could potentially benefit from. From this, many would be able to appreciate the purpose of education, potentially even raising attendance rates and helping younger generations feel more prepared. I appreciate the opportunity to speak and share my opinion. Thank you all for listening. Have a good day.
Madam President, board members, we earlier didn't have this queued up, and this is another little video that'll give you a feel of that professional development conference.
row 2. If you have questions, we'll address those as a district. Remember that our associates are just...
And what I've learned in my 2 years of working with Gadsden ISD is this is the best collection of teachers I've ever seen in the country. You guys are fantastic. You're superheroes. And
welcome you and thank you for being here. Talk about assessments. Those obtrusive assessments, those are the stops, right? The unobtrusive are like,
and I know what partner to go work with. I have no idea what to do.
and you are in the messy middle of it right now, which feels so hard. And yet you are chipping away at this, and you are doing such incredible work for your lucky students that I am so honored and thrilled to be here to talk with you.
Thank you, Ms. Flores.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to our next item on our agenda is board members' report. Let's go ahead and begin with Mr. Castillo.
Thank you. Just want to tell everybody Happy New Year. Ready for another term, 4 years, and then I can retire, I hope. Because I'm going to retire from work, so I'm going to retire from somewhere. But ready for this. Mr. Lida, anything we can do to help? I'm not saying I know a lot. I've been here a long time, but I'm here for anything you need. Feel free, and you'll hear in our conferences that they'll tell you this is a thankless job. It's not. You do. People do thank you. People will complain, but I think it's not complaining. It's they want to talk to somebody. That's what they want. They want to talk to somebody, and we're the ear, and if we can direct them to the right place, then we're doing our job. But it's learning. It's a learning opportunity, and it's not as bad as we think it is. It's actually a good gig. Takes a lot of time because we got a ton of students. It takes a lot of time, but if you're willing to give up the time, it'll be rewarding. And again, anything I can do to help, I'm here.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. Ms. Rodriguez?
Good evening and Happy New Year to everyone. Like Mr. Castillo said, we're starting a new year, and I think we're going to keep moving forward, right? I definitely want to talk about the mini conference. Is that what it's being called? I had the opportunity to join in for a couple of hours, and it was amazing. It was great to see the enthusiasm that the teachers had, just being there. There were so many teachers. And then when the breakout sessions, seeing them actually work together. I think that was what was very inspiring. I went to 2 different sessions, and each one had their unique touch. And I think if you're really paying attention, you'll take a lot. And I know we had the opportunity to do this over in San Antonio, but I think it made it even more, I don't know, just bigger, the fact that it was just Gadsden staff. So that was wonderful. Good job to everyone that worked on it. The academic team did excellent, because you could see, I really appreciate it. As soon as you were driving in, the liaisons were out there, the POAs were out there making sure that everyone knew where to park or where to go. So that was wonderful, even, just from the beginning. And from what I saw, it was a great thing. So again, I'm looking forward to a new semester, continuing with what's happening. And Mr. Lira, yes, thank you for saying yes to be part of the board. It is a lot of work, but it is very rewarding to see our kids succeed, right? That's what we're here for. It's not about us. It's not about, what we want, but we all, I think, as a team here, as a board, we all want to make things better for our students. So that's the main goal. Thank you. And same thing, anything that we can help you with, please let us know. And thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mrs. Murillo? See. Okay. Okay, Mr. Lira, would you like to share any words this evening?
Well, first of all, my name is Christian Lira, and I want to thank you guys for the hospitality. I feel good already. I'm excited. I'm excited for this challenge. I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. I'm a product of Sunland Park. I was born and raised in Sunland Park, and I've been here. I actually remember Mary Lou since high school. She looks the same. She's ageless. She stays the same. So, I mean, over 20 years ago, she still looks the same. I'm a product of Gadsden, so I'm excited to come back now that I'm a father, and then my child is going to be coming into to this district. I want to be more involved. I've been part of the community for many years as a grassrooter. I mean, as a local advocate. I was a city rep for the city of Sunland Park for 2 terms. So actually, through all the turmoil that Sunland Park had, I was there, and we surpassed it. And it fills me with joy that that I'm here today, and maybe at a different stage in my life where I can focus more on Gadsden and some of my expertise and a lot of learning that I have. Just like that, I offer my help to any of you guys, even in the community. But I will ask probably more from you guys, from the board that have been here prior. And hopefully I want to know you guys with questions, because I will be asking questions. And the same thing to you, Mr. Dempsey. Hopefully we can have a meeting now that I was waiting for this meeting, so we can maybe visit your office and have my issues, my concerns, and maybe you can guide me through it. I just want to leave Gadsden throughout my term a better place than how it is today. And I'm sure that you guys are doing an amazing job. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to learn and to embrace your leadership. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Lira. So we don't have audio for Ms. Murillo? No? Okay. Bueno, te dio una oportunidad, Arlene. Okay. Just so that you know, she is attending, she's in Albuquerque, and she's one of our chaperones for our Santa Teresa High School band, all-state band members that are participating. So that's why she couldn't join us this evening in person, but thank you for joining us virtually, Arlene. So as far as my board member report, I'd like to wish everybody a Happy New Year, Feliz Año Nuevo. Hope you all had a beautiful break with your family. And I really appreciate Ms. Villalobos with your team. Thank you I think it's so important that was a beautiful presentation. I think it's so important that we acknowledge people, community members, organizations that give to our district. And so while some want to remain anonymous, I do want to give a shout out, because I didn't see it. Brayden Aboud actually went out to give tennis shoes to Sunrise Elementary. Yes, so make sure administrators, that you communicate to Ms. Villalobos, because sometimes organizations go to the school itself, they don't come through the, like through the federal programs, but that way when, at the end of every season, we can acknowledge all those organizations that give to our kids. And then, let's see, it's awesome to see that you all had a wonderful mini conference. I'm jealous of you that you got to come, but it looks like you guys had an awesome time, a wonderful learning, and that's awesome that you had 11 speakers from Marzano. That's awesome. And then what else? Just a reminder to everybody, wash your hands, because there's the flu A, flu B stuff going around. Hopefully you don't get it, but yes, wash your hands. And also just want to welcome Mr. Lita. Looking forward to working with you, learning from you, and we all learn from each other. So welcome to Gadsden Board. That concludes my report. So we're going to move on to Human Resources Report. That is there for public knowledge. No action is required on behalf of the board. Okay. So we're moving on to item 6. Do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the agenda as is.
Mr. Castillo has made a motion to accept the agenda as is. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Okay, motion passes. Moving on to item 7. Do I hear a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the regular school board minutes for December 7th, 2023.
Okay, Ms. Rodriguez has made a motion, as she stated, to accept item 7. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? The motion passes. Moving on to our consent agenda, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda.
Okay, Mr. Castillo has made a motion to accept the consent agenda. Before we vote, does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding the consent agenda? No? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to open forum. Ms. Delgado, do we have any speakers this evening?
Madam President, we have none.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Delgado. Moving on to action items. We actually don't have any action items this evening, folks. So we're going to move on to discussion items. We do have 2 listed. First one is the Gadsden Independent School District chronic absenteeism update. Superintendent Dempsey.
Madam President, board members, Ms. Villalobos and Ms. Cumplido are going to help us with this item.
Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Dempsey. We have on this presentation Ms. Elisa Cumplido, who is our coordinator on Title I, and she has been since the beginning of the year dealing and leading completely everything that has to do with chronic absenteeism. So she's going to present a report on where we are right now and all the things that we are working on, so you can have an idea where the district is. So Ms. Cumplido, is she there? Yes.
Madam President, members of the board, and Superintendent Dempsey, good evening, and thank you for having me here.
Good evening.
Good evening. The first thing is that we want to make sure that we acknowledge the Attendance for Success team. We have Ms. Janine Yanez. She's our lead attendance advocate. Then we have Ms. Cynthia Arellano, Ms. Cassandra Maldonado, Mr. Ivan Muñiz, Mr. Adrian Ortegon, Mr. Jose Quesada, Mr. Eddie Soto, who all serve as attendance advocates for the district. We also have Ms. Evelyn Cuevas and Ms. Liliana Lopez, who provide attendance support. I would also like to take the time to acknowledge the hard work from some very important individuals that are mostly behind the scenes, and that is Ms. Sally Sepulveda, Ms. Josie Padilla, and Mr. Jorge Ortega. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next slide. A common misconception is sometimes we receive phone calls letting us know that the students are absent because they had a doctor's appointment, or maybe they were feeling ill for the day. And so that is an excused absence, but we also have to keep in mind that even though these absences are excused, they accumulate and then in turn become chronic absenteeism. For our unexcused absences as well, we may have multiple unexcused absences, which also can lead to chronic absenteeism. And suspensions as well can lead to chronic absenteeism. So in some cases, we may have excused absences plus unexcused absences plus suspensions, and they all lead to the chronic absenteeism. So being very careful and making sure that we make sure these kiddos come to school. We know that we do have some cases where there are certain things that they have to be kept home, but being cognizant that sometimes multiple absences, whether they're excused, unexcused, or their suspensions, will lead to the chronic absenteeism. And this is just a little reminder. We do work with the different tiers, and we have those kiddos that are tier 1, that's whole school prevention. Those students have been missing between 0 to 5%. Then we have those kiddos that are tier 2, we're still in the prevention phase, and those kiddos are missing 5 to 10%. Then we have tier 3, that's the early intervention, and those students may be missing from 10 to 19%. And then we have that intensive intervention, where we have those tier 4 students. Those students are missing 20% or more. And for the most part, those kiddos are being serviced by our attendance advocates, where our attendance advocates are conducting home visits, making phone calls, and trying to reach that parent guardian. Those individuals that are providing support, who are Lily and Evelyn, they are providing support to secondary, and they are working with those tier 3 students and also those tier 2 students as well. They're making phone calls to parent guardians. So a couple of things that we've been working on. I will tell you that when I was assigned to the task of that chronic absenteeism, I really didn't know how big this was. And I will tell you, this is one of the greatest challenges for me, and I'm truly enjoying it, and the team is coming together. And sometimes I come up with some ideas, and they may or may not be excited about it, and then we move forward and continue, and they get excited about it eventually. So one thing that we've been doing is that we've been working on the attendance improvement plans. This year, the way that we've provided support is a little different. We group the administrators with the attendance advocate that is assigned to their team. And so they got to work directly with their attendance advocate. The attendance advocate was trained, and they were able to provide support to the administrators and their team. Right now, we're completing our attendance improvement plan progress updates. And we are also providing support as needed. We have had the opportunity to participate in an ECHO that was sponsored by the NMPED. And so this was a wonderful opportunity where we posed a problem of practice, of course, chronic absenteeism. That was our focus. And the one thing that was very difficult is that I'm an individual that tends to see everything as like glass half full and not glass half empty. And so it was a little difficult to really share on that echo and let them know that we are struggling. We are struggling when it comes to chronic absenteeism. We're not the only ones, but we always want to highlight everything that we are doing as a district and everything that is working. And that was a perfect opportunity for us to share what's going on when it comes to chronic absenteeism and really dig in a little deeper. We also have been attending some conferences. We had the opportunity to attend the attendance conference in Albuquerque, and that was sponsored by the state. We also had the opportunity to participate in the attendance conference in Texas. And we learned that Texas and other states are also moving to non-punitive, just like we are with the Attendance for Success Act. So that was something nice. That's something that we've already been working with, and we had information to share with others, and others had a lot of information to share with us. So we were able to network, and we learned a lot. Attendance audits, that's something that we've been implementing this school year, and we will continue. A couple of things that we found is that we need to move forward in making sure that we're all really, when it comes to different things, sometimes we have questions when it comes to attendance, to chronic absenteeism, when are the kiddos dropped? And so we said, well, there is a need for a handbook so that everybody in the Gadsden team can go ahead and really have something where sometimes they're making a phone call, they're reaching out to an attendance advocate, and somebody's giving them one response, somebody else is giving them another response. And so that's going to help us really with the alignment when it comes to attendance and chronic absenteeism. The Attendance Intervention Suite, that is a new platform that we purchased this school year, and it's solely for attendance, but we do have different teams throughout Gadsden that are using it to send it because it's a means of communication, but it's mainly for us to really to monitor attendance and messages directly to the parent guardians, and also receive messages from the parent guardians. And really, really, really for us to document our interventions. So that's been a very helpful tool. We provided professional development for the teachers within our district. The last school that we just provided professional development for was La Unión. And we had certain things where we weren't able to meet with them in December, so we scheduled them for January, but right now we could probably say that all the teachers within our district were trained and received that professional development on the Attendance Intervention Suite, and the attendance advocates were the ones that provided that professional development as well. The attendance grant, we did receive an attendance grant where we allocated a certain amount of monies to different schools. And so that money's already accessible to the schools as well. One thing that is not on this slideshow that I do want to share is that something that we've been doing when it comes to the Attendance for Success team with all of the attendance advocates. We are meeting every other Wednesday, and we participate in our professional learning communities where we are sharing and learning from each other. And right here, you'll have the chronic absenteeism rate, and this is at the end of the year. for school year 2022-2023, and that was 37.01%. Our target for the end of this school year is 34%. The chronic absenteeism rate last school year for the middle of the year was 35.73%. And right now for the middle of the year, we're at 30.6%. So we are still in line to meet our target. We wanted to highlight one of our schools, and this is Gadsden High School. And right here, you'll see that we have their chronic absenteeism rate for the year for 2022. So we have August, September, October, November, and December. And you'll see in white, that's where the school was at. And then and the right side, you'll see where they were at this school year. So in August 2022, they were at 36%. They started off at 36% in August. Then this school year, they went down to 33%. So it's in green because it means that their chronic absenteeism rate was lower than last school year at the same time. And so there we have September 2022, they were at 41%. And then in September 2023, they went up to 42.22%, so they're in red. But that's okay, because not everything's gonna be a smooth ride. And so then in October of 2022, they were at 45%. And in October 2023, they were able to bring that number down to 40.05%. And then there we have November 2022, where they were at 45%. And then November 2023, they were able to bring it down even more at 32.29%. In December 2022, they were at 47.68%. And then December 2023, they were at 33.66%. Something that we need to keep in mind here that, yes, their chronic absenteeism did increase from November to December, but they were still under what their chronic absenteeism rate was in December of 2022. So right here we have the chronic absenteeism rate for the end of the school year of 2022-2023, where they ended the school year at 50.95%. And then their target for this school year is 46.87%. And right now, at the middle of the year, they are at 33.66%. So those are big jumps right there. And that's something worth celebrating. So we really want to thank the Gadsden team. We do have Ms. Legarreta and her team, where we have counselors. Everybody's working together, clerks, attendance advocate, Ms. Janine Yanez. Evelyn's providing support as well. So we really want to congratulate this team because they're really working hard, and we really wanted to highlight them. So thank you, Gadsden High School. What is our path forward? So we're going to continue to monitor data. We're going to continue to provide that support that's needed when it comes to the attendance improvement plans. We are going to continue to complete our progress updates. And the progress updates are extremely important because yes, at the beginning, we do come up with our attendance improvement plan, but as time progresses, we have to see, is it working, what we're implementing? Is it working? So, and if it's not working, what needs to be done? What's happening where's the support that's needed? What is going on and how are we going to change what we are doing that's not working? So the progress updates are extremely important. They are not mandatory. The state it states that it's optional, but for the district, they are mandatory because we really want to monitor our progress and really see what's working. We will continue to attend attendance conference. We'll continue with our attendance audits as well. And we are going to provide follow-up professional development on the attendance intervention suite. We'll continue with the attendance grant implementation. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we are providing support for secondary when it comes to those tier 2 and tier 3 students. So we will continue to provide that support. Something that we've been working on is that we're revamping some support documents that we do have. And we are going to start our transition into electronic referrals so that we have that information in real time. Sometimes the attendance clerk provides those referrals to the attendance advocates, and the attendance advocates are out in the field making those home visits. And so it does take a while before they return the referral. So in order for us to have some information in real time, we are going to transition into electronic referrals. And we will be creating an attendance handbook. We've been working on it. It's not complete yet, but we did find the need for an attendance handbook, and we're working on that right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Elisa. So, any questions about chronic absenteeism, attendance that we can help you with?
Questions, comments, concerns? Mr. Luis.
I have one question. You mentioned on the grant implementation that those monies went to the school. What was how is that being utilized?
Well, let me tell you, that has been a very confusing grant, number one. That was a state grant. They gave us $250,000 with no guidelines. So it has been very hard. The lady who was in charge of the grant unfortunately passed away like a month and something like that. She was trying to put it together for the state. So this was kind of like an initiative from New Mexico PET. They sent us a grant. They give us no guidelines. When I've been talking to them on meetings and everything, they say, okay, do I follow my Title I guidelines? And they say, okay, try to follow the Title I guidelines. So somebody else came on board and say, no, because this is the state money, so you can have more freedom. I said, because if you give me Title I, I'm going to have the same restrictions, right? On Title I, I cannot spend on something for the student that I can pay, cannot be anything more than $25. And it's like principals were like, I would like to buy maybe an electronic, maybe an iPad, maybe something like a bigger incentives for the kids for attendance, and we were not allowed to. So it has been a very confusing. It's really no direction. Hopefully, we are hoping for more direction now that they are gonna bring us somebody new. Supposedly next week I have a meeting with them and we're gonna find out who's our new person in charge of this grant at New Mexico PET level. It has been really confusing. So what we are doing is like, we assign the money to the principals to the schools, so they've been buying little incentives, little things, and the schools have assigned some amount of money, of this money. And the other one, we are gonna be buying like the big incentives so that we can provide for all the kids at a different level. So hopefully we can provide a little bit more support. We wanna, because there's restrictions like, for example, we cannot buy anything, like a principal says, cannot buy cup holders that say the logo of the school. That's not allowed. Can we have some caps, some teachers that have the logo of the school? That's not allowed. So there's a lot of restrictions. This fund has been really tricky. It's not a lot of money. $250,000 doesn't go a long way in all the schools, but we're trying to do the best that we can. For example, what we do with the coffee with the superintendent, they usually we're giving these nice kit boxes recognizing students with perfect attendance. Like if you join us next Tuesday on the coffee with superintendent, you will see the attendance recognitions that we're given. That is thanks to Title IV. It's not with the attendance grant. So it has been kind of like hard to really spend the money. I know our principals want to do a little bit more, and we are putting like the restraining, and it's like, no, because we can't, because they told me you have to follow federal guidelines, and it's like, but it's a state fund, so we are waiting right now for a little bit more direction. So we haven't released all the money because I'm waiting for somebody told me, yes, do a little bit more for the kids, for incentives, because that's what we want, and it's like, one of the things that we're trying to do is, for example, students that were on tier 4 and we are able to move them now to tier 3, you know, that we are able like to rescue them. It's like have incentives for those kids, like to start coming to school and so, but it's hard. Incentives is really a very hard thing. But we're trying very hard. You see, it's an amazing team that we have on attendance.
So I have several questions.
Yes.
The first one is based on what you just finished saying. So who could you talk to, or who talks to whoever's in charge of this grant? Because it almost seems like there's so many restrictions. So then do they even tell you what you are allowed to spend the money in? Do they even tell you or no?
No, they told me to follow my federal programs guideline, my Title I guidelines, which are very restricted.
So the guidelines,
So, but
then
the
they don't give
lady,
you-
they just replaced Miss Armijo, que en paz descanse. They just replaced her. So Terry Winburn, that's just with the lady kind of trying to help us and guiding us. But they are still very confused on what else we can do with the money. I'm waiting. I'm really waiting and say, okay, you can do a little bit more, because if I can use it with more like liberty, more freedom, we can do better incentives and things for the kids. So we are like this right now, waiting for that.
Okay, so kudos to Gadsden High School, because it seems like they're on the right path to decrease that chronic absenteeism. So my question is, how are we working together, elementaries with elementaries, middle schools with middle schools, high schools with high schools, so that, I'm thinking at the high school level, so that Chaparral Santa Teresa High School can have that same success. Do we have opportunities where principals talk to one another of what they're doing?
Yes, and that's what we're going to be next principals meeting on Tuesday. That's going to be on the agenda is chronic absenteeism, and we're working together as a team. And the thing is, like Ms. Cumplido and her team, they're really working with, this is one requirement from the state. We need to every school needs to create an attendance plan, and they need to submit by October 1st. But what we're doing is that we're working on this attendance plan as a live document, not like you did it because for compliance, you submit it, and that's it. We don't want to do that. Like last Friday, Ms. Cumplido met with some of the principals, seeing, okay, what is working, what is not working, where is your rate right now, how much are you increasing, decreasing, where do we need to target, what do we need to target? And something that is helping us a lot this year is like we invested money with the ARP funding. We were able to buy a new addition to Power School, which is the attendance intervention suites. Attendance advocates and Ms. Cumplido, they provided training to every single school on how to use this, so teachers directly can use it. And it's a very nice tool on Power School that they can see where the chronic absenteeism is exactly. And it's like a very friendly tool for teachers to use, so to understand. And it's like, because we need to partner with teachers on this. It's been a lot of work, and that's why when they mentioned there that we're doing attendance audits, that's what we're doing. So a team of attendance advocates, they go in and say, okay, let's work on this school. How do we help? Who needs to do this? So it's like they're working directly with principals and everybody at the schools. And we have a great team. Every school needs to have an attendance team, and it's part of the attendance plan that we submit to the state.
So I think, so let me make sure. You just mentioned that every school has to have an attendance plan. And so who creates this, the attendance team?
The attendance team, yeah. So at the beginning of the year, the principals have the format and how to do it, because this has to be submitted to the state, and they give us the format. They need to do a root cause analysis, understand, and they need to do what are going to be their interventions for tier 1. Because remember, tier 1 is everybody's, all the kids, and tier 1 is when there's no absences. So what are your interventions? That means how you engage kids in school, how you make them feel welcome, what kind of, are we gonna making contests on the classrooms on doing more things, like we wanna use the money, for example, to do pizza parties, ice cream parties, things like that. And that's what I haven't received the okay from the state on buying the food, because that's something that can work on the kids. It's like if you have contests in the classrooms, especially elementary, right? And the classroom with perfect attendance is gonna have a pizza party. That's a great incentive for the kids. And we haven't been able to do that because we don't have this guidance from the state. They were still waiting. And those are kind of like the things we're trying to do. So that will be a tier 1 intervention. So principals create since the beginning. This is my tier 1 intervention. This is my tier 2 intervention. And then tier 3 and tier 4, that's where attendance advocates get in, because tier 3 and tier 4, that's when we have to do this attendance plan. That's when we call the parent coming to the meetings. And that's when we can we do an analysis that is the barriers that are really, why is the student not coming? So we do a whole very more intense approach on tier 3 and tier 4.
Okay. I just wanted to make a comment that, I mean, I'm totally for incentives because, you know, they work.
Yes.
But I think also we need to not just only rely, I think it's a combination, not only relying on the incentives.
Yes.
And hopefully our campuses realize that it's a team effort.
Yes, it
and
is.
that, like when I think you said it earlier, it's all about high quality instruction, which it's just a beautiful thing because it's tying everything, Marzano, capturing hearts.
Capturing is the school culture.
Exactly. So hopefully also, that's what was gonna be my next question, is that I hope our schools are honestly reflecting on their culture, because the leader is the one that leads, and if you are happy to be working there, you're happy to attend, you don't really need incentives. That's just the icing on the cake.
And it's like that you need to give incentives. I know it's hard, and chronic absenteeism, what we know for sure, is a national problem right now. A very big national problem.
And then my last question would be, with these attendance improvement plans, especially at the middle school and high school level, do we ever, and I think Ms. Murillo would appreciate this, because do we ever involve students for feedback?
Yes.
Yes. And how do we select those kids?
They are like, when we're doing the attendance plans, for example, some of the schools is like, they really are kind of like trying to ask the kids. And one of the things that we're doing is like, when we have the attendance meetings at middle school and high school, the student is part of the meeting. The students participate on those meetings. And it's like, what do you think? What do you need to come to school? It's like very direct questions to the kids, trying to involve them, ask them, understand what is going on, why they don't want to come.
Okay. And I guess I lied.
Trying to really work with, really trying to work with our kids. That's what we're trying. Okay. We want the kids just to come because that's the only way they can receive the instruction.
What about, because I know Ms. Cumplido mentioned that obviously at the state doesn't care if it's excused, unexcused. It goes into, it equals.
That's the deal.
It equals chronic absenteeism. So also as far as suspensions, obviously suspensions also go into that. Are we, I'm thinking, because capturing kids' heart, I'm not very familiar with it, but it's probably a social emotional learning type of thing.
Capturing kids' heart is completely SEL.
Okay,
and it trains the adults on how to work with the social emotional learning of the kids.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask is, there's there's behaviors that, based on school policy, district policy, that automatically elicit, I guess, if you will, a suspension. But hopefully we're working hard towards it not being a suspension, because I think we had one time, I remember we were having a conversation, Mr. Dempsey, where if a child is being suspended because they're, I don't know, if they're vaping, then they have a problem. So what good does it do us to send them home where they're going to continue to do that?
That doesn't help. Yeah. So. No, that's part of, for example, something we do that is like, we are starting with restorative practices. And another, we can have Mr. Bobadilla, who is our new SEL coordinator, come and talk to you about where we are when it comes to restorative practices.
So we are definitely then a restorative practice district. Awesome.
Yeah, we're working on that very.
Okay. Let me see. I think that's. Anybody else has any further questions, comments, or concerns? No. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to discussion item 10B, our monthly budget report for the month ending November 30th, 2023. Superintendent Dempsey.
Madam President, board members, Ms. Martinez will present this item.
Good afternoon, Madam President, members of the board. I am here to bring to you for discussion the executive summary for November 30th, 2023. The operational fund revenues as of November 30th were $67.7 million, which represent roughly 42.09% of budgeted revenues. Expenditures were $58 million, which represent 26.79% of budgeted expenditures. As of November 30th, the operational cash balance after temporary loans was $71,370,899. As of November 30th, 2023, PED and other grant agencies owed the district approximately $10.3 million for current year grant expenditures and $1.8 million for student nutrition. Total revenues for all funds were $140,488,045, and total expenditures were $106,662,937. As of December, all accounts were in compliance with pledged collateral, and our school reviews, there were not any findings for bank deposits in excess of 24 hours, after the fact POs, or findings for procurement card purchases. Questions?
Questions, comments, concerns? We have none. Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
You too.
Okay, moving on to our upcoming board meetings. We do have our next board meeting will be taking place at Yucca Heights Elementary in Chaparral on Thursday, January 25th. I do have to, Vice President Rodriguez, you're probably going to have to run that meeting because and Mr. Dempsey, because I have to do CPI training that evening. Okay, and then let's see, and then also item B, just a reminder, in your packets is where you sign off so that Ms. Delgado can make our arrangements, our vehicle arrangements, our hotel, if you plan on attending the NMSBA Board Members Institute. And then I did ask Mr. Lira, I asked Ms., well, no, I was gonna say, just here, just an FYI, that's where you'll see what meetings you have to attend and then the conferences that come up. And then I did ask Ms. Delgado to please send all of us just the rest of our meetings, even though you can go to that website. And then also, I guess we're gonna be attending, right, the New Orleans.
Madam President, we have planned for that.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so mark it on your calendars. April 6th through the 8th is the National School Board Association Conference in New Orleans, Louisiana. Okay, any questions regarding those? Okay, and moving on to closed session. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we go into closed session, limited personnel matters pursuant to 10-15-1 H-2 of the Open Meetings Act, NMSA 1978, as amended, for superintendent and associate superintendent's report on employees on administrative leave with pay, employee grievances, and employee issues.
Mr. Castillo has made a motion that we enter into closed session. Ms. Delgado, can you please take roll call?
Mr. Castillo?
Aye.
Ms. Flores?
Aye.
Mr. Lira?
Aye.
Ms. Murillo? Ms. Rodriguez? Aye.
Okay, that motion passes. Folks, we are now in closed session. Thank you for joining us this evening in person and online. Have a safe trip back home. Don't get blown away. Bye-bye.